Well, some reaction now from the United States, where we have Ed Schultz from RT America joining us after a pretty long night covering that referendum. Ed, thanks for staying with us. The US Vice President Joe Biden has said that Washington would have preferred a bit of a different outcome. That view was also expressed, of course, by Baracka Obama. What kind of reaction can we expect now from the United States?
Well, I think it's going to be a wait-and-see type attitude by American lawmakers at this point. Obviously, President Obama and his administration wanted to see the UK stay in the European Union for the issue of trade agreements, trying to get TTIP, trying to get the Trans-Pacific Partnership through. So to get a big trade deal and as much investment as they've put into that, they thought that that would unravel, and this starts now a new day in that regard. So I think it was somewhat of a political defeat for the president. He came over here to the UK. He stood side by side with David Cameron and explained to the British people that this would be putting them in the back seat when it comes to trade agreements. That's going to be the real challenge for the Leave people as they move forward with this new effort of leadership.
Ed, it's Andrew Farmer here in the studio in Moscow. What do you think this will do to the special relationship? Because both countries still also have, don't they? They have an awful lot in common, and it seems silly, as big as this announcement is, to put all that in jeopardy.
I don't think there'll be much change at all in the relationship between Great Britain and the United States at all. I think that there's too much at stake. I think there's too much history. I think there have been too many crises that they've had to see through together. I think that there is a valued importance on both ends of the pond that are certainly visible to one another. I do take stock in what Donald Trump did this morning. He knows how important that relationship is, and I found his statements to be very timid, very reserved, and certainly out of character for Donald Trump. He was very reserved in his comments and not risque at all or predicting anything for the future. And so, to his credit, he was smart enough to play it somewhat cool in that manner. So I think that there's no doubt that the United States and Great Britain, there'll be no change in status and relationship there whatsoever.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Donald Trump there on his visit to Scotland. We watched his press conference live, much as it was almost a business advertisement for his golf course. He did also make it clear previously that he's lending his support to the Leave campaign. Why do you think he does that? What's his interest in a Brexit?
Well, I do believe that Donald Trump is a big businessman, and he is an anti-union type operative. Anywhere he can defeat a union, that's exactly what he's going to support. Taking that under consideration, he also has the chance of being the next president of the United States. He's a big businessman. He's got a big ego. He would love to start with a clean slate, with a new prime minister and an opportunity for a brand new trade deal with the UK that he could signature. And that has as much to do with business and ego equally, I think. This gives Donald Trump, if he is the president of the United States, a chance to write his own chapter and not inherit something that might be somewhat of a rat's nest that he would have to straighten out. So I think that's his futuristic view of this.
Ed, we are hearing in reaction to all of this that there are other countries too that are sort of considering having their own referendum now. Given the fact that the US was against the Brexit, do you think they'll be putting pressure on other European countries too not to do the same?
I do not. I think that this was somewhat of a wake-up call to the Obama administration. I think there was an element of resentment with the British people that the president came over and weighed in on something that is very personal to these folks, and that is, of course, the economy. As far as the other European Union countries, there'll be a close watch on exactly what happens to the United Kingdom's economy. My prediction there is that there's just no way that you can have a devaluation of your currency and have that drop and not have job loss. There will be job loss as I see it. How big it will be remains to be seen, and how long it will last is also going to be very important, and that is going to be the challenge for the new Prime Minister, to make sure that any job loss is short-term or their problems will multiply politically moving forward. The other thing that I think economically has to be viewed is that investors are going to sit on the sideline. They're going to pay off debt. They're going to be not the risk takers they were, and they're going to wait and see what kind of immigration reform is going to be passed by the United Kingdom. If you listen to all of the Leave people in the wake of victory, they are all talking about immigration and getting their country back. It would seem to me it would be imperative upon these new leaders or the new power in the conservative wing to move as swiftly as possible on immigration reform as anything else. And I think that is connected to the economy.
Okay, Ed Schultz from RT America there giving us the latest on that Brexit referendum. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully you can get some rest now after following that through the night.